Hey, this is Stacy from Let's Cook, y'all. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We hope you'll enjoy the content on our channel and you'll consider hitting that red subscribe button. We're back with some easy, delicious weeknight meals. We've got something new for you guys this week. As always, we hope you enjoy the video and that you get some ideas for things to fix at your house. Trying a new recipe in the Instant Pot. We're going to use some chicken thighs, a bunch of vegetables, a bunch of seasoning, some oil. I have a 6-quart. The first thing I need to do is turn it on saute. Mine, for some reason, is on less. You can just hit the button. It goes to normal or high. Let it heat up. As soon as I can feel the heat, even when it goes off, I don't always feel the heat, so I use my hand. That's why I always show y'all that. We will get some oil in there. And see, just in those 10 seconds it says it's hot, but I feel zero heat coming out of it. So let it heat up, do some oil, and we'll get started with a chicken and rice recipe in the Instant Pot. I can feel a little heat, so I will add a little oil and start sauteing the chicken thighs that I have salt and peppered. They're boneless and skinless. The recipe I'm using said about 4 minutes per side. And then once they're sauteed on both sides, we'll take them out and keep going. I took my tongs and kind of made sure they were loose. They were trying to stick a little bit. It's going to be really important to deglaze this. I really don't want a burn notice. I've yet to get one. But we will flip these, do another 4 minutes, take them out, and then start deglazing. Remove the thighs. I made up about 2 cups of chicken broth for the recipe that I'm following. She said once the meat is removed to take about 1/4 of a cup of the broth. We're going to deglaze the pan. And take a spoon or a spatula and scrape up all these bits. I don't know if you can see, I haven't zoomed it in. There's a lot of bits, things stuck on that we don't want to use a burn notice for. Enough to cover the bottom, and we'll start scraping. Make sure everything is up. While I was scraping for a minute or so, a lot of my liquid evaporated. So we'll put a little more in, and then we add the vegetables. The recipe calls for shallot, sliced carrots, and mushrooms. I don't have shallots, I'm just going to use diced onion. So we will saute these next. Couple minutes, and then the last 30 to 60 seconds we'll add some minced garlic. After the garlic is sauteed about 30 or 60 seconds, I'm going to cancel the saute mode. Then the recipe says to add the rest of the chicken stock, the very well rinsed rice, which was a 1.5 cup, which is way too much for the 2 of us. And I should have cut it in half, but when I make a recipe the first time, I do like to try to stick to it. And the seasonings, the recipe simply called for salt, pepper, and thyme. That's not enough for me. And I know with everything I've ever made in an Instant Pot, it needs a lot of extra seasoning. So I'm going to use some onion powder, even though we have the onions. Some garlic powder, I'm not going to measure, because we have the mushrooms, and I have it. Some of this Trader Joe's mushroom umami. Some Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salute, because I think it's good on everything. And because we have chicken in here. Mrs. Dash Chicken, she called for thyme. We're not huge thyme fans, so I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to put a sprinkle. I think it does do good with rice, though. And even though I salt and peppered the chicken breast before I sauteed them, we'll add some more salt and pepper. We're going to take the rice, broth, and vegetable mixture and all the seasonings and stir it together well. And then she said, very specifically in her recipe, to lay the sauteed boneless, skinless breasts on the top and not stir them in. So we will make a bed, try to make sure all the rice is down and covered. Otherwise it would be crunchy. Lay the chicken pieces on the top. put the lid on. Lock the sealing valve in place. Set the Instant Pot to pressure cook or manual, and we're going to go for 8 minutes. You just have to go there and it will kick itself in. It will come to pressure. I'll try to time it. We'll cook it for 8 minutes. Then we're going to let it natural pressure release, or NPR, for 10. And then she said to release the rest of the pressure. So I'm going to set a timer and see how long this takes. Give or take however long it took me to fumble and find the stopwatch part of my phone. Took it about 7.5 to 8 minutes to come to pressure. We're going to cook it for 8, NPR it for 10. You also need to allow the time to prep the vegetables and the chicken, and also all the sauteing we did. So while this thing is contained, it's only one pot to wash. The name instant, it's not instant. We're still going to need to allow, I'd have to go back and do the math, at least 30 or 40 minutes. But that's not bad. Gives me time to work on other stuff to go with the chicken and rice. It has NPR'd for 10 minutes. Let's see how much. To throw a towel on it, or I will do a controlled release till we get the rest of the steam and the pressure out. This one's not making a mess because it doesn't have liquid in it like cream of mushroom or a pasta sauce or something. Just going to keep doing this until that pin drops and all the pressure's gone. That did not take long at all. Pin dropped in less than 2 minutes. Let's see what it looks like. It looks like chicken and rice. She said you can shred the chicken, which will not take, even 2 forks. It is very tender, coming apart. So I'm gonna do this and break up the chicken and then mix it all together and then see about serving it. I've made us a salad and some corn on the cob. See if it needs seasoning. Need salt, pepper, anything? Meat. Less rice, more meat.
Pretty good.
Thanks. All right, we'll fix our plates. Got a new recipe for chicken and rice from the Instant Pot. Got a salad. Tim has tomato for his, and we've got some corn on the cob out of the freezer. So chicken and rice, vegetables, and salad is what's for dinner today. Not every week, but a lot of weeks we do Taco Tuesday, and that was today. I started off with 2 chicken breasts, boneless, skinless. I put them in my little sprayed West pan. I covered them with taco seasoning. You could use any kind of a Southwest seasoning, Tony Chachere's, anything you like. I salt and peppered them. I flipped them over, did both sides, and then I cover them in on the border salsa or salsa of your choice. Cook them on low in the crock pot until they're ready to shred. On the stovetop, I got some packaged rice mix going. I am doing 2 packages today because I'm doubling this to take a meal to someone. I also took 2 cans of pinto beans and spiced them up with some salt, pepper, some chili powder, and some cumin. Then I took another skillet and put some oil in it, heated it up, and did a full pound of ground beef with just a packet of taco seasoning. As I said, I'm taking this, so I am doubling it. I would not make this much for the 2 of us. A couple hours later, the chicken was ready to be shredded, and we were ready to eat. Today we've got a taco bar. I did some extra today, so I doubled everything. We did taco ground beef, salsa chicken in the crock pot. I did 2 packages rather than 1 of some Mexican rice. I did a lot of pinto beans that I jazzed up with a lot of seasonings. Made a really quick, simple, small batch of guacamole. And we've got the fixins, and we can do them in hard shell, soft shell, or over chips. So a taco bar with meats and rice and beans is what's for dinner today. I've got about 6 cups of water I'm bringing to a boil, and I've added several bouillon cubes and also some sodium free, some garlic, and some ginger. And I cut the box up. This is all that's left of it. I'm going to try these Simply Asia brand Japanese style ramen noodles. There was 4 of them, these cakes in there. So I don't know if I'm cooking actually just for myself today. So I don't know if this is going to be enough noodles for me. Like I said, I cut the box off because I tend to move stuff into my OXO containers. So there's 3 of those squares left. And the package directions say to bring a large pot of water to a boil, and we're going to boil them about 5 to 7 minutes. So I'm going to cover this, let it come to a boil, try to keep an eye on it so that I don't mess up my stovetop. And then when it comes to a boil, I will add 1 or maybe 2 of these and cook them 5 to 7 minutes. In the meantime, I am cutting some vegetables. I've got to clean and slice the mushrooms. I've already chopped the broccoli, the onions, and the carrots. Have some coleslaw cabbage mix. I'm just gonna cook the noodles and make me like a quick veggie stir fry. In my big wok, I added some avocado oil and then a little bit of minced garlic and ginger, and then I started adding the vegetables. Got those sauteed. Let those go a couple minutes, and then towards the end I took some shredded coleslaw mix out of a bag that I needed to use up. I do like to pick out those big pieces. I think their machines miss that a lot. Got those sauteed and the cabbage wilting. Drained the Simply Asia ramen noodles and added those from my pot in the back. Incorporated those together. Decided it needed a little bit more seasoning, so since I had it open in my fridge, I added a few dashes of this bottled teriyaki marinade and got that all combined. And this one was quick and easy, using up bits and pieces of what I had left in my fridge. So while Tim is not here, I'm once again fixing something that I like. He would eat this, but it would need to have meat in it. He's at a men's event at church and they should be getting a lot of meat, so I made enough for me for today and lunch tomorrow. Just a quick veggie stir fry or lo mein with some noodles. I haven't tasted it yet. I may end up putting a little either sesame oil or some sesame seeds on it. You totally don't have to. A lot of people don't like sesame. I actually love that flavor. And just from a big box at Sam's Club, I did me 2 egg rolls, one for today and one for tomorrow. I do like this sweet chili sauce to dip my egg rolls in, and that's enough for me. If Tim was here, I would have to fix some more stuff and have plenty of meat in it, but veggie stir fry with noodles and egg rolls is what is for my dinner today. Yesterday when I made the vegetable lo mein, I cooked the noodles separate and I had mixed up a lot of really good chicken broth. When I went to drain the noodles and put it in the lo mein, I hated to throw it away. So I kept the chicken broth. It's flavored really well. Changed up my menu. I'm just gonna make what Tim calls ramen. This is his recipe from his military days. We've shown it a couple of times on our channel before. It's basically beefed up ramen noodles that I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna put the chicken stock in a pan, cook some rice in it, add some packaged ramen noodles. I will throw away the seasoning packet and use my own. We like Tony's. We'll add some eggs, so it's kind of like an egg drop soup, and then we'll add some cheese, which makes it creamy. So this is Tim's concoction when he was broke and in the military, and it's all he could afford to eat. We consider it comfort food. We've had quite a lovely day here, so comfort food is on the menu. So really quick, here's some ramen, Tim's ramen. I don't even measure, and I don't even rinse it. Just a couple handfuls of rice. It's really just however much you want. This recipe has no measurements. I'm sorry. The rice is about 2 or 3 minutes shy of being done, so it's time to add the noodles. You can use fancy ones or you can use the little cheap packs. Entirely up to you. I like them broken. Tim likes them whole, long, and stringy. So we will work with those. After this, we'll add the eggs, the seasoning, and the cheese. Cook the ramen about 3 minutes. I'll add some eggs. You can beat them and pour them in a stream going in the same direction like you do for egg drop soup. Tim actually likes them like this. We put them in whole, let them cook, and then when the whites start to set, we kind of break them up. That gives you big chunks of white and yolk. Personal preference. Cook them however you like. Egg is almost cooked. I kind of broke it up with my spatula. So we've got chunks of yellow and chunks of white. Add some seasonings. little salt and pepper because I did use mostly no sodium broth. I've already put some salt in. And our favorite thing these days, some Tony's. And Tim will likely come back and add even more. Some kind of sliced cheese. I have opened this 4-cheese blend from Kroger. We found that shredded cheese does not work. We use slices, whatever we've got. Tim likes pepper jack. Can I help?
Yeah.
And Tim is here to help. Oh, well, he just ate that piece, so we'll be a little short on the cheese.
Pretty good, though.
Hope so. Need to make grilled cheese with that cheese. And let this melt. Makes it creamy. Had a little camera malfunction. Thought I was recording Tim scooping it up. It's probably a little thicker than he would like. I think he likes the broth. But that's what happens when you send in the B team and the ramen master is not here to cook.
When the camera was off and you thought the camera was on, you said, oh, I think I put too much cheese in it.
And you said,
there's no such thing.
It's too much cheese. So ramen is what's for dinner tonight. I'm trying a new recipe, and actually I've pulled out my donut pans. I ordered these on an Amazon deal a day, probably, I think 2 years ago, and I only used them once or twice, and I've given up making donuts. But I feel like baking, and I have some buttermilk to use up. This is a recipe from a website called The Busy Baker. It's not a website I've used before, so I'm not sure if I can trust it. Sorry about the glare. The original recipe makes 24 donuts, so I'm going to cut it in half and make 12. I really should probably fourth it and make 6 since this is an untested and untried website for me. But I'm going to go out on a limb and hope they'll be edible. Just the usual suspects: flour, sugar, some baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, salt, an egg, some vegetable. I'm going to use canola oil, some buttermilk. I will mix that all together, pipe it in the sprayed donut pans, bake them, and then we're going to dunk them in powdered sugar when they come out. So we're going to give this one a go and hope for the best because, come on, who doesn't love donuts? Regular baking practices, I mixed up the dry ingredients, and then in a separate container I mixed up the wet ones. The buttermilk. The recipe said to avoid over mixing, just till everything's barely combined. Over mixing can make them tough and rubbery. Really does not look like enough for 12. I don't bake enough to own piping bags, so I just always get out a Ziploc, put it in there, and cut off the corner, and do the best I can. So I know a baker's dozen is when you have 13. I didn't quite have enough, so I have 11. Is there a term for one shy of a dozen? These only took 7 minutes in mine. The recipe said 7 to 9. They're not really golden brown, but I tested them with a toothpick, and there's definitely nothing moist or clingy. I'm going to let them cool in here for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then turn them out onto a wire rack, and then a couple minutes later we will dip them in powdered sugar and find my taste tester. We'll see how they taste. On the website, hers are really thick. Mine are really not. She did say mini donut pans, and mine are probably full size, so next time I might actually fill them up instead of going halfway. We're gonna let them cool and then dip them in powdered sugar and see how they taste.
Good, I hope.
Good, I hope too. My taste tester has arrived. These were really good. The only problem was I used full-size donut pans. That's what I had. I didn't catch the recipe the first time I read through it that I needed the mini pans. These worked out really well. The powdered sugar clung to it, but the next morning most of the powdered sugar had absorbed, so I really had to dunk them in more sugar again. What's that?
Taste of heaven.
Dickey's Real Pit Barbecue.
We've got a little onions and pickles. This is the Westerner.
The Westerner with pulled pork and spicy kielbasa sausage.
Spicy.
Potato salad and baked beans.
Mm-hmm.
Where's mine?
Hmm?
Where's mine?
Hmm?
Where's mine?
You're allergic to it.
I don't like barbecue. I'll find me something else. Dickey's is what's for dinner today for Tim.
Oh yeah.
And finally, at long last, for the first time since 2019, we had our local Oktoberfest to attend. And what have we here, Mr. Tim?
We have some brats.
Oktoberfest is upon us. Bratwurst and fixins for shish kebabs. And Stacy, with her sweet tooth, went and got...
We have a little sauerkraut, onions, and
You don't want to
your
talk
favorite
about the sweets.
peppers.
You don't
No,
want to talk about
those
the-
sweets are yours.
What's that?
Strudels.
Apple strudel.
Strudel.
They had apricot. I passed and got apple. German food, Oktoberfest, is what's for dinner today, courtesy of a local church. Excited?
Very.
Ooh, yum. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching this week. Take care. Have a wonderful and truly blessed day.